Hello, day two of our unification extravaganza. Let's get into it. So the notes, the reading, I actually wrote this for my grad school class, I believe. So I weaved in some primary sources here. And then the exit looks a lot like yesterday's, so it should be nice and simple for you. So let's get started. Um, and of course, all this week's work will be on counted towards unit market period 2. So anything that's this week won't be on this report curriculum. So students will be able to make a claim identifying if Otto von Bismarck was justified in his uniting of Germany. So we've talked about this on Monday, I believe. The People's Spring. So in 1848, there's going to be 20, I think it's 23, 37 individual revolutions throughout Europe, all different European countries, 37 revolutions in total. Historians refer to this time period as the People's Spring. These are all Enlightenment, democratically fueled revolts against different governments. The goal was to remove the monarchs that remained, to ensure natural rights, things that we saw during the French Revolution. At this time, the cat is out of the bag. We're now 50 years, 60 years past the French Revolution. The governments have caught on and they crush all of these, all 37, end in ruin. And you can see here where the different ones are. A lot throughout the Austro-Hungarian Empire, different ones in Germany and other places. There's the huge clapback because they do not want a repeat of the French Revolution, regicide, or things like that. So we're going to see about 100,000 people dead across Europe as the governments and the militaries put down these revolts. We do see Germany start to be very nationalistic. And the reason that they do so is one, where's my W? There we go. They are very angry at France. Remember, France and Napoleon kind of wrecked Germany during the Napoleonic Wars. All of those different individual 300 or so individual German kingdoms got consolidated into 39. So there's definitely animosity towards the French. They wanted to make sure there was never going to be a repeat of that, so they wanted a stronger military. And there's also a growth of just different nationalism things that we've talked about with the idea of nationalism. So remember, this is what Germany looked like at this time period. Still very decentralized. There's 39 individual kingdoms in there. Prussia is definitely the strongest, as you can see, with a nice fuchsia color. And eventually it's going to unite. And one of the big reasons is all of these places, if you notice, have a lot in common. Almost every single one of them speaks German. Prussia and Austria, they speak German. Bavaria, Hanover, Frankfurt, all these different places. Culturally, they're like food and different holidays and things like that. They're all Germanic for the most part, with the exception of like Copenhagen. And then religion, a lot of them are Protestant because this is, remember, the hometown of Martin Luther. So a lot of those German kingdoms, they kind of abandoned Catholicism during the Protestant Reformation. So a lot of them are Protestant, with the exception of one or two of them. Germans typically tend to be more Lutheran. My family comes from Germany, and my grandfather was Lutheran, so it's definitely one example of that. So there's definitely things that are uniting the peoples here, even though they're kind of all over the place as far as governments are concerned. But that's not going to last too long because there is this guy. So we talked last lesson about the Italianification, how the brains and the brawn were all kind of split over different people. Otto von Bismarck is the brains and the brawn together. So he is a German nationalist. He is Prussian, a Prussian military leader. I'm going to post extra credit videos about him because he's another one of those interesting figures. And again, his goal, just the same as yesterday's lesson, is to unite all those German states into one stronger Germany, to unite these German kingdoms into Germany. So there's a saying that goes along with it with Bismarck: if you want peace, prepare for war. Remember, the whole goal is to make sure that Germany's not getting wrecked again like they did during the Napoleonic Wars. So in this weird, kind of ironic statement, if you want peace, prepare for war, that's kind of the road that Bismarck takes. So his phrase that is associated with him is the ideas of blood and iron. These are the things that are needed to unite Germany, is the iron of their swords and the industry and things like that. Also the blood of their people and perhaps their adversaries. So we're going to see in the span of about 6 years, Germany, specifically Prussia, wages 3 wars. They ally with Austria, and they take on the Danes, and they win. And then they turn against the Austrians, and they fight the Austrians in 66, and they win. And then they finally get their revenge on Napoleon, and they fight France in 1870, and they win. So Germany all of a sudden is starting to look like a powerhouse. And through these wars, we're going to see Bismarck take a very decentralized, very weak German bunch of German states, and through Prussian military is able to unite them into a single entity. So we got 2 new players in Europe that weren't there before. All of a sudden, we have a united Italy and a united Germany. So just new players to the mix, as we see France and Russia and England have already been there, Spain, and now all of a sudden we have Germany to contend with. So we're going to see how that affects world history. Spoilers, it's not going to go well. So yeah, that'll be it.